Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to the podcast. This is Big Reptile Talk, my show where I bring just amazing animal content creators to my platform. I talk with them, see what they got going on, see what they're doing, see what they're going to do. We just talk about animals. I don't even care if you love reptiles. If you just love animals in general, I want to talk to you. I want to know what you got going on. I just want to know. I want to know about you. And I want to talk animals because animals excite me. That's what we're here for. We are here for animals, and I love it. I love it. It's not just about reptiles, it's just about animals in general. As always, before we start the show, much love to the podcast sponsor. Shout out to my brother Dan over at Mile High Mutations. I love you, brother. Thank you for sponsoring the show. Shout out to my boy Eugene at Morphed Ambitions. He's producing amazing ball pythons. Make sure y'all check him out. And not just that, he produces mulch. He's got snakes. He's got mulch. Hit him up. Tell him Derek sent you. Shout out to my brother Paul over at Large Marsh Morse. I appreciate you for supporting this channel. Y'all make sure y'all hit up MKL Exotics out in Canada for just amazing hognose snakes and Frost critters, man. I gotta show you some love, man. You've been supporting the podcast all year. Just none but love for you, brother. Y'all make sure y'all go hit up his Instagram. Tell him Derek sent you. Just much love, man. I appreciate you. Shout out to Mad River Service and Brattery, producing amazing ball pythons. Ed, my boy Ed over at You Already Know Morse, man. I appreciate you, man. Just supporting me, man. He's producing amazing exantic ball pythons. I'm freaking basic. Anybody will tell you when it comes to ball pythons, my favorite is the pastel, which is like the bright yellower ones, and the exantic. I love the black and white more. So much love to him. Y'all make sure y'all hit up Matt Yates, man, to give him some love. Shout out to Ball of Hands Pythons. Y'all go check out their morph market. They're producing amazing animals. King's Reptiles, husband and wife duo, just killing it. Shout out to my brother Lowlife, man. Just so many shout outs, man. Just all these people are just family. Basement Pythons, I see you. Much love, brother. Heathland Hatchery, I love you, man. You're a supporter of the channel. Thank you so much. I'm gonna pop up all these names too on a banner. Shout out to Stone Age Ball Pythons. I appreciate you for supporting the channel, and not just them. My brother Ozzy is a podcast sponsor. How dope is it to be able to say Ozzy Boys sponsors this podcast? Super excited, man. Anyways, this is going to be a dope show. Today, we are bringing Joey of the Jungle to the show. So when we come back, we're going to be talking animals with Joey of the Jungle. Don't go anywhere.
Whoa. Big reptile talk. Yeah, we working. Big reptile talk. When it comes to talking about snakes, yeah, love that we got for them effects, yeah. Big reptile talk. Let's talk about reptiles. Yeah, big reptile talk. Let's talk about reptiles.
I feel like that intro is it's a vibe. It makes you just want to dance. Anyways, welcome to the show, Miss Joey. How you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad. Excited to have you here because, like I said, we were talking backstage. You are an amazing animal content creator. Do you feel like you're a content creator?
Yes, I do.
I like that. Now let's talk about the name, man, because I feel like Georgia the Jungle is such big pants to like to feel to follow. Now, Joey of the Jungle, like, is it a play on Georgia the Jungle? How did you come up with that name?
So it a little bit is. It was first like I would think of Georgia the jungle, but then I was thinking more. I think I heard people say Jane of the Jungle because Jane was with George. So I would just like casually refer to myself that way. And then my first time going to Ecuador, the family that hosted me in Ecuador, the guy who owned his sanctuary would call me Joey de la Selva, which in Spanish means Joey of the Jungle, because he had heard me call myself that in English. So that's how that whole thing came to be. So after he started calling me Joey de la Selva, that's when it really stuck, and I just adopted the name Joey of the Jungle.
I love that. I love that. Joy of the jungle. Did y'all hear that light flex she said? When I first went to Ecuador, you've been to Ecuador. Like, what?
Yeah.
And you said it so casually. Well, I was in Ecuador. What?
Yeah.
That's huge.
Mm.
That's major. I love that. Now, you know, everybody has to start somewhere. You know, your journey has been amazing, and we'll get into that. But I want to know, like, what was your intro to animals? What animal just really set it off for you? You were like, you know what? I want to dedicate my life to animals.
So, I mean, as you can imagine, this is a question that I get all the time, every time I'm talking to somebody. And really, the only answer that I have is that I really have just been born this way. I came out this way. As the When I was old enough to formulate independent thought, that's how I always word it. I was obsessed with animals, and there's no particular animal that I could say, but I think it really started with frogs, just because I don't know what it was with frogs, but I was finding frogs outside, and my mom would take me to the library when I was really, really little, because she would buy books from the library or rent books from the library. And so I would always go to the animal section, and I always loved the Smithsonian amphibian books and to read about the frogs. So I really think frogs were the initial obsession, but it was animals overall, always.
Right. So frogs just set it off for you.
Mm-hmm.
I love frogs. I got a couple frogs myself. I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
me
Now,
too.
I know you like you very humble, you very down to earth, but we don't want that. Okay. This next question, throw that humbleness out the window. Okay. Now, 40K on Instagram. How does that feel, man? I want you to flex a little bit.
It's hard to flex because it doesn't I don't really like think about it much. I think I went to Bolivia at the beginning of the year, and Bolivia is really what brought in all those extra followers. Like, I had several thousand, but it got into the tens of thousands when I went to Bolivia, and I was able to share some content from there with some of those wild animals. People just loved it and shared it. And so that's how that happened. And it kind of just happened almost overnight. I think it was about a week and a half. I went from a couple thousand to 10 to a couple 10,000, tens of thousands.
See, I told her reflection. She was still humble. I love it. She's like, I shared the content. It just blew up. I don't know. It's just, I love it. I love it. Your let me see. Your humbleness is just like, it's a vibe. I like that. I like that. But
Thanks.
40K on Instagram to me is huge, because I feel like I want to be a content creator. I'm on YouTube. I got like 70,000. Now I tell you, once I hit 100,000 on YouTube, my wife is screwed. I'm not taking the trash out no more, because I'm famous. So my question to you is, like, what number do you feel like when you hit it, you're like, okay, maybe I need to get me a publicist or something?
A million.
A million?
A million.
I feel like
Because
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like, especially when you look at TikTok, like, okay, YouTube, you said YouTube is different, and that's different. But like, if you look at TikTok, some people get so many followers off of nothing. So I feel like a million, and maybe that's really far. There's people like, if you have a couple 100,000, that's big. That is, but I don't know. Maybe it's the humbleness and just seeing, other people reach these numbers and what I expect of myself. So I don't know. A million.
I like see that she's at a million, and I feel like I'm up there, but still you're killing, and I feel like you beat her soon enough. Now we got to talk, because I do my research before I bring anybody to my platform. I told you this backstage, and we're gonna talk about it. Animal Con follows you. Like, now I'm gonna tell you that it's Brian Barczyk. It's an event he throws down in Florida, and he brings just amazing content creators. Jay Brewer, Kevin from Nerd, Tyler Nolan, Chandler's Wildlife.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the cream of the crop, Brian Barczyk follows you. He reaches out to you, and he brings you together. He throws like a convention where people can come and meet you. I think that's freaking huge that Animal Con has their eye on you. Like, how does that make you feel? Like, to me, Brian Barczyk is, Barczyk and Brewer are the kings of the hobby. So in essence, one of the kings of the reptile hobby has their eyes on you. Like, how does that make you feel?
It's a great feeling. When I saw the follow, I was kind of thrown off because I heard of Animal Con, and I was trying to make arrangements to go as as a visitor this year, but unfortunately that was just so last minute. Things kind of fell through. But then I saw the follow, which was cool. So I was like, oh, okay, they're following me. Hopefully, maybe one day I can be invited.
Oh, I'm sure that's what's gonna happen. I'm sure. I'm sure if not this year, maybe next year. I'm sure old Barcheck will reach out. But I think that's dope. Now, I want to talk about herping, man, because you've been to so many amazing places in the world. Can you give me like just one of your favorite experiences, like where you were, some of the animals you've seen? What was like one of your top experiences?
Herping? We're
Mm-hmm.
speaking herping. Um, Gosh, that's really hard because there's been so many. But I want to say so. I want to say my top two. They actually both happened in Ecuador. Both of them were in Ecuador, separate times. Um, because it's common to see your various types of snake species and frog species and what have you. But I think it was 2017. I found forgot the exact species, but it was a species of legless lizard. It's on my Instagram. Legless lizard, no, worm lizard. It was a worm lizard. And then this past time that I was there, which was in 2022, I found a Sicilian. So those were two really cool, unique, rare finds. And I was just blown away for like a good 40 minutes both times. Just like, I can't believe I'm holding this. So both were deep in the Amazon of Ecuador. And both times I was pretty much by myself, just scouring the jungle. And I happened to stumble upon those amazing species. So they're
Oh,
both on my Instagram if you guys are interested in looking at what they look like. So.
I think I've seen it because I peeped your Instagram. I like it. I love it. Now, just to have a little fun for shits and giggles, hot seat questions. You've done so many amazing things. You've seen so many amazing animals, so many places, amazing places on the earth. So let's say I was writing a book about your life. What would the title of the book be?
Well, it's funny you say that because I'm already writing a book about my life, and I have titled it Joey of the Jungle, a memoir. So it is a memoir of my experiences in the Amazon and neotropical rainforests.
Man, I'm jealous. Man, in the Amazon, the tropical rainforest, Ecuador, you've been everywhere, man. I love it. Now, just for shits and giggles, I don't know how big you are into music, but just for shits and giggles, you got to pick one. Let's say you were going herping. Let's say you're going to, going out into, the Amazon or the rainforest, and you had to pick a partner. Who would it be? The Island Boys or Takashi 69?
Takashi 69. Absolutely. Now, I know that he's controversial, but I mean, if we're going to get into it, first of all, Island Boys, that should be, a given. But Tekashi 69, I don't know who, really follows, but he really does a lot for South American countries, Latin American countries. And, whatever was going on before, he's clearly changed up some things. And I just can't say enough how much I appreciate what he does, especially for those countries. It's very important to me. I'm very close to all those countries. And so, I've been watching what he's done for them. And if I had to choose between the two, it'd be him.
Right? I was watching something the other day about Takashi. Didn't he give like a family out overseas like $1 million or something?
Yeah, so he frequently goes to like the Dominican Republic. He's recently gone to Ecuador, and yeah, he just sees these poor people and he just dumps money to them, gives them some money. So
That's awesome. That's awesome,
mm-hmm.
man. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's incredible. Now, being an animal conservationist. Actually, before we talk about that, I want to talk about like going into these places. Like, how do how do you like get over that fear? And what I mean by that is, you look at like America, our doctors. I don't know how to say this without sounding like a jerk, but I have like the utmost faith in our doctors. I feel like if I got bit by a venomous snake in America, I feel like they know what to do. They've seen it before. They have the anti-venom. They have everything. Let's say you're you're in the Amazon somewhere. How do you get over that fear of saying, okay, something out here, something bites me? how do I know that they'll have the anti venom? How do I know that they doctors will be able to help me? You get what I'm trying to say?
Yes. So that's an interesting question. And so, first of all, the question of getting over the fear, there is no getting over the fear. You just do it. Like for me, I just do it. I know the risk, I know what could happen. So there's a couple different things, and it really depends on my location at the time. So let's say I were to be bitten by a venomous animal. Really depends on my location, because there's a lot of times that I am in the jungle or I'm in the Amazon, and if I were to get bitten by a venomous species, odds are I wouldn't survive simply because I'm not close enough to civilization. It would obviously depend on the species. It would depend on the circumstance, and it depends on the country. Because let's say I'm in Costa Rica, all those, for the most part, all their hospitals are prepared with antivenom to, let's say, help someone who's been bitten by a fer-de-lance, because it's so common to be bitten by a fer-de-lance. But the places that I've been, let's say in Ecuador, deep in Peru, Bolivia, if I get bitten out there, it's like a 50-50 if I'm even going to make it to a hospital to even
Ooh.
get that treatment. But most of the time in those countries, they do have it because they have those species. They do have the antivenom. It's just really a matter of getting to the hospital. I have faith in their medical establishments for the
Right.
most part. When it comes to that, I do. I don't want to, say anything about how they function. I have faith that if I made it to a hospital, I'd be okay. It's just really getting there. And sometimes I don't have any phone service, so it's like I need to make sure that I have phone service and that the phone service can contact somebody that can get me there, maybe airlift me. So it really just depends where I'm at. That's where the real concern is. But getting over the fear, you don't get over it. You just either you do it or you don't.
Right. I get that. For me, I just like, oh, being out of the states, getting bit out, I'd be so nervous. I mean, you look at. I don't know if you follow Chandler's Wildlife, but he got bit by a cobra and he survived, and he was over. He wasn't over here, so it's definitely possible to survive getting bit, not being in the states. Now,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I get this is a reptile podcast, but let's talk about some of the other animals you've come across in your time of just being an animal conservationist. What's some of your favorite animals that you've come across?
So, for anyone who knows me or who's been following me consistently, one of my main focus is on New World primates. So that includes all the primates that exist in Central and South America, including Mexico. And out of those, my favorites are the red howler monkey and just really all the New World primates, but red howler monkeys, capuchins, um, which is, like I said, on Lady Tiz podcast, it's pronounced capuchins, but I just choose to say capuchins. What else? TT monkeys, squirrel monkeys. I love all the primates out there, but also the tapir. I don't know if you know what a tapir is. They're really fascinating. I love them. I love coatimundis, kinkajous. So those are some species I have been fortunate enough to work with hands-on in the jungle.
Right. I love that. I love that. Just so many amazing animals. Now I want to talk, conservation because, some conservation is, it's just so amazing. Just keeping these animals alive, keeping them just to where everybody's able to learn about them, love them, and just enjoy them. My question to you is like, when it comes to like conservation and like animal sales, like what's your take on like animal sales? Do you feel like a lot of these animals shouldn't be being sold? Do you feel like they should just stay in nature? What's your take on it?
So when we say animal sales, are we talking about sales in the United States, and what are we talking about?
Like
Because
like
this is
like
very
like
complicated.
yeah, like reptiles, like monkeys. Like you see people selling monkeys in the States all the time. Do you feel
Hmm.
like that should be like banned or
Yeah. So the sale of reptiles and the sale of primates are, to me, two entirely different things, and there should never be the sale of primates. That's just, it's a whole different situation. Reptiles, it's different. There's people that are, you guys are breeding reptiles, and a lot of these species are not, depending on the species, but a lot of them are not endangered in the same way that these primates are. It's just there's so many steps to it, but the species status is one thing to consider. It's also to consider also like how these animals are obtained. Any primate that is obtained. Anyone who has a primate, somebody had to die in the rainforest in a very brutal way for that to happen.
Wow.
And we already have so many primates who are endangered. Their species is at high risk of like I said, being extinct, or just their species, the species numbers is declining rapidly due to deforestation and forest fires, poaching, and all of that. And so it really, you really shouldn't see any of these species anywhere other than in the wild, where they can contribute to their species and contribute to genetic diversity. So it's very disappointing to see any of these species in captivity, because they really need to be in the wild, because their numbers are declining so rapidly and their habitat is declining so rapidly. But also just the history behind what it takes to get a primate into human possession. You know, you'll hear so many people say, "Oh, I have this baby monkey because its mom, because it was abandoned." That's never the case. It's never the case. No, I don't care who tells you it. Somebody was murdered. You know, shady business was done to make that happen. It's not the same as reptile sales. It's totally different.
I love that. I love that. So you know what? My reptile store right now. I think they got a monkey. I'm gonna go in there and say, y'all should be selling this monkey. Joey says you ought to be ashamed of yourself having this monkey in here. I am.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Now, you know, I love you what you're doing. You got your own like foundation, right? Can we talk about that? Like, what is that for?
You're talking about Jungle Rescue Reform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I founded Jungle Rescue Reform. God, I want to say it was 2021. It was right when the pandemic hit. The pandemic made it really difficult for me to travel, even though I still traveled. I just had to jump through a dozen hoops to do so. And so I kind of had a lot of time in my hands to do some of the background work that I wanted to do. So I formed the organization Jungle Rescue Reform, which I'm still working on making that a nonprofit organization. But the goal of that is, and I have a website if anybody's interested in looking at it, it's junglerescuereform.org. The goal of that is to help wildlife sanctuaries operating in remote parts of the world receive funding, receive staff, receive volunteers, and receive equipment so that they can perform to the best of their ability, because they are, like I said, operating in remote parts of the jungle. And I feel like the work that they're doing is important, but they kind of get forgotten because most of them are very small sanctuaries. And like I said, they're rescuing animals in really remote parts that a lot of people don't know about. You know, people know about the big places. They know about the really popular places that everybody hears about, or the ones that universities promote for their students to go spend 2 weeks at. But there's really small organizations that actually aren't that small at all. They house anywhere from 50 to 200 animals. And I'm really passionate about helping those organizations.
I love that. I love that. You know, that's your life mission, is just animal conservation. Do you ever see yourself like moving to the Amazon and just staying there forever?
Yeah, so that's always been on my radar. But I work in the United States as a veterinary nurse, and you know that's part of what, you know, how I live my life. I also have pets here. You know, I kind of have always had a little bit of a foundation here in the United States. So what I do is I go back and forth. The option to go live in the jungle is always there. Like, I can decide tomorrow and I have a place to stay and a job. And, you know, I can go at any time. But you know, I've just had some things here that have keeping this home base. But I know I can always travel there. I can stay there as long as I want, and so it's been good being able to go back and forth and have like kind of the best of both worlds.
I am jealous, man. Did you hear that light flex? If I want to, I have a place right now. I can live in the Amazon forever. Like, you never even see me again. Because, but you know, having that, I think that is just dope being there, because you're hands down, feet on the ground, and you're there effectively making change right there. You know what I mean? I think that's awesome. Now, I don't know, you know, how many times you have been herping and some of the animals you come across, but like, what's one of the worst bites you ever got being you know, out and about looking for animals?
You know, herping, I don't think I ever really got bit herping. I just got fortunate. I mean, knock on wood. I've been fortunate. I've gotten a few, what was the last thing? Tropical night lizard that bit me. But most of them don't bite me. I've been bitten by the animals that I work with in conservation. But when I'm herping, catching some snakes, frogs, lizards, iguanas. I've been lucky again, knock on wood. I have not been bitten by any of them.
I love it. I love it. I know if I want to go to the Amazon, I'm DMing Joey. I'm saying, hey, get me somewhere to set me up because we going into the trees to find some stuff. I love it. I love it. Now, you know, being a person that's frequently traveling, frequently overseas. I know you just, I know you just said you have some animals, but I know it's kind of harder to have animals when you're constantly traveling. But what does your personal animal collection look like? What do you got right now?
So it has varied over the years. I think when I had the most, I had 2 rabbits, a snake, 3 dogs, and a cat. Right now, I'm down to just a rabbit and a dog. Those are my personal pets. So it's pretty easy right now, and I want to try and keep it low because traveling it has been very difficult in the past. You know, I've had multiple cats, I've had animals, and it's been difficult. I will say
Okay.
that it's not easy traveling when you have pets.
I agree. I got a lot of animals myself. Now, I want to talk about this, man, because you're dibbling and dabbling in a little bit of everything, whether it's animal conservation, whether it's flying here to run around the Amazon or coming into the States. You just said you're a freaking veterinary nurse. Like, can we talk about that? Like, what's some of the stuff you've seen being a vet nurse?
Whew, that I've seen a lot of crazy things, and it's so exciting to me. Gosh, in veterinary medicine, there's no, no saying what you'll see. I was, and it really depends where, like, what you're doing at the time. So I was doing ER for a few months prior. I was doing general practice in Manhattan, so dealing with a lot of like famous clients. It all depends, but I've had a lot of emergency cases that, let me see, um, just so many emergency cases that I can't. Sometimes like the animal's eye will be popped out or the leg is
What?
twisted backwards. I had this one patient in ER not that long ago that came in, and his head, it was like something out of an exorcist. It was a Labrador, a chocolate lab. His head was twisted all the way in the opposite direction, and he couldn't really move, and it looked like something out of a horror movie, but actually it was like a neurological imbalance issue, and he was just kind of stuck, twisted in the other direction. I've seen that. I've seen, animals missing a limb. You get animals born without a rectum, which can be a little difficult. So yeah, all different kinds of things. There's really no saying what you'll see, especially in ER. There's no saying what will come in. You get animal abuse cases. I've seen dogs with rubber bands tied around their snout that have been there for a long time. It's rough.
How do you see all these animals and not just want to keep them all?
Well, most of them already belong to somebody.
Nah, I keep them. If you didn't get if your animal got bad enough to where you got to see me in the ER room, you might as well just go on and give it to me.
There's a lot of cases where animals get surrendered, but thankfully there's always been somebody else, whether it be a receptionist or another nurse or a doctor, that jumps in and is like, I'll take this guy. So it never has to fall on me. So thankfully, because I do want to take them, but I do understand that I'm very limited on what I can
Right.
what I can open up my home to.
Right, I get it. I get it. Now, I want to kind of jump back to conservation. Because I'm still kind of learning at this. I'm just in the reptile side of things. Now, conservation. I get that. You want to help these people get like funding and stuff like that. But do you ever see yourself like? To me, conservation is like, okay, well, this area has this many monkeys. The numbers are low. Do you ever see yourself going into like a program and helping them breed and helping the numbers go back up? Is what I'm saying.
So when I speak about like getting funding for these organizations, that is my personal jungle rescue reform organization.
Uh-huh.
Me personally, when I go out to the Amazon, when I work with these sanctuaries and wildlife rehabilitation centers, that's what I do. Like I do the hands-on work with a lot of times with primates, and it varies widely. I can help them medically. I'll help medically treat them, medicate them, observe them to see if they're ready to be released in the wild, observe them to see if they're ready to be introduced to larger troops, other primates. A lot of times we do have animals, primates, or other species that breed while they're in the sanctuary, which is great. So yeah, I'm involved in all that stuff when I go abroad.
Right. I like that. And do you ever see yourself like kind of like I hate to say this, it's kind of people don't like when you bring up that name, but like Carol Baskin, she don't like people buying cats and shit. So she's actually going to like lawmakers and trying to get laws passed. So do you ever
Mm-hmm.
see yourself like with your foundation, like actually saying, you know what, I'm sick of all these monkeys being sold in the States. I'm gonna actually try and go to DC and affect like change when it comes to these monkeys being sold through my foundation. Do you ever see yourself doing something like that?
Yeah, but that part of conservation is just not my area. It is just not something, and a lot of people will disagree with me. A lot of people will not be on the same page that I am, but me trying to make an active effort in how do I word it? Like, that's just not what I do. What I do is I help prepare these animals for a life back in the wild, and I help these sanctuaries function to the best of their ability so that they can do that. That is what I am passionate about. Um, sometimes, and maybe this is a little bit of a pessimistic view, but sometimes the problem is just too big that it's like, do we tackle the problem or do we become our best at solving the problems that arise out of illegal wildlife trade? We really have to perfect that, because there's a lot of holes in how we rehabilitate primates and wildlife that's been rescued from illegal trafficking, and we really need to get a handle on how we do that and doing that to the best of our ability so that these animals can be released.
I love that. You so down to earth.
I
I
try to
love
be.
I love that. I love that. Now I got to give you some advice, man. Now I feel like you crushing it on Instagram. All your adventures. Are you on YouTube?
Not really.
You gotta get on YouTube.
I know they keep telling me that. I'm gonna do it. I'm
I'm
gonna
a,
do it.
and I'm gonna tell you why. Because see, I like Instagram, but I stopped trying to grow on there because I don't know if they still paying for reels or whatever, but for me, I was on Instagram and I said, well, what happens if you hit 100,000? They said nothing. I said, well, I'm taking my talents. I'm gonna have to do like LeBron and take my talents elsewhere, because if you hit 100,000 on YouTube, you at least get the silver play button.
I think that's why I said what I said about the million, because I just know how Instagram is. Like, it doesn't matter what you have. So yeah, no, I know I'm gonna do it. I keep saying I'm gonna do it.
And that when you do, I like to see some collabs. Like who's like some animal content creators that you would like to do some collabs with. I'm curious.
Okay. Well, I definitely have to shout out Gator Boy South. I've known him for a long time, so maybe we
Okay.
could do something together. And of course, Yo Yo Reptiles. We've already had some things together. I've been on his YouTube, so hopefully I can make some stuff and put him on there. Um, who else? Gosh, on the spot like this, it would be great to meet Tarzan, but
No, the real Tarzan.
the real Tarzan.
He be
um,
he be an animal con all the time.
mm-hmm. And then, of course, the big dogs. Like, I would love to meet Jane Goodall, but
Hold
oh,
on,
and Evan Anton, Dr. Evan Anton, he's great.
Jane Goodall. She's a vet, ain't she?
No, she is a primatologist. She has studied chimpanzees in Africa for years and years and years.
Oh, okay. Shout out to everybody in the chat, Lekka, Bosa, everybody. I love it, man. I love it. I feel like you were here for a reason. You're crushing it when it comes to conservation. You've had so many amazing animal adventures. But I gotta ask, do you ever see yourself like trying to commercialize somehow? Because you're so successful. Like I said, 40,000 people. I don't care what you say. That's a big number. I feel like you could turn that into like commercialize that somehow to where you're like selling like Joey of the Jungle snake hooks or mu- you don't ever see yourself doing that.
It's just such a hard thing for me to see, and I know I probably should, but and as stupid and cliche as this may sound, I'm just not somebody who is really focused on the financial benefit of any of this. I would love to be known for what I do. I want to be known for what I want to do. for what I do, and I want to really spread my message as far as it could go by having, you know, a lot of followers. But as far as getting a financial gain out of it, and I've had so many people tell me, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. You could get, you know, you can financially benefit from this. It's just so hard for me to honestly tell you that I put any type of passion or thought into that, because I don't, and I can't. I just don't. I don't care to. You know,
Right.
I'm financially stable from veterinary nursing, and
Right.
whatever comes of Joey of the Jungle and all that comes of it. But I really do this because I am very passionate about it, and I'm very passionate about inspiring others and influencing others to see these animals the same way I do.
I love that. I love that. Like, you know, you're amazing. Like I said, I love what you got going on. You've been to so many amazing places. Tell me about some places that you haven't been that you'd like to go.
So I really want to go to Indonesia, and specifically the island of Borneo, which is just off the coast of Southeast Asia. Really want to go there because it's one of the most biodiverse places on Earth. It's an island, it's like a jungle island, and it is the one home of the orangutan. So I really want to go there. I really want to go to Africa, specifically the Gambia. So there is this wildlife sanctuary that I've been saying, not really wildlife sanctuary, it's an animal sanctuary. But they kind of work in connection with wildlife, but they also take care of domestics like dogs, cats, donkeys, camels, and horses. Really want to get out there. I've been saying I'm going to do it. Really want to try and get some time to go out there. And where else? Maybe check out some things in China.
No, that is amazing. Oh, I love it. I see you doing just amazing stuff. You know what I see you doing too. I know you like on the monkey side and herping side. I see you going to Africa and like cutting horns off rhinos to save their lives and stuff.
I would love to do that. Rhinos are one of my favorite animals in the world, and I used to think that that was going to be the species that I worked with. That was my plan at one point, but things diverted me in a different direction. I ended up in the Amazon. Obviously, rhinos aren't in the Amazon, but I love rhinos, and to one day be able to dedicate a lot of time and work to their conservation would be amazing.
Right. Now this was we've been chatting for almost 40 minutes. It was an amazing podcast. I love learning about you, and hopefully they'll be around too. But I gotta give you a tip. Now, what I would like to see, because you know who you remind me of. Do you know who Tom Crutchfield is?
Tom Crutchfield?
Crutchfield.
Crutchfield, no.
So he's a big dog in the reptile hobby, and he would go all. He's a lot of the reason that we have a lot of the animals we have now. So he's been on TV. So he would go to the Amazon and he would get animals, and he literally would put them on a plane and bring them back to the country. And he ended up getting caught. And he did like 3 years in like a jail overseas. Isn't that crazy?
Oh wow.
That's kind of who you remind me of. It's like going to the Amazon chasing down animals.
Hopefully I don't end up in jail abroad. That's like one of my biggest fears.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, chatting with me. I love getting to learn about you. I love that Sean kind of pointed you out to me. I think that you're just an amazing content creator. And if not this year, I look forward to seeing you at Animal Con next year. As not a visitor, as a content creator.
Yes, that would be nice. That would be very nice, because I know there's a lot of people that would be happy to meet me there. So that'd be nice.
Well, this was an amazing round one. You killed it. Hopefully down the road we can get a round two. I love to talk to you when you're actually in the Amazon.
Yes,
you probably
yes,
wouldn't
we
have
can arrange
service
that.
though, would you?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do, because I'm usually based somewhere that has Wi-Fi. So I mean, it might not be the best, but I should. I'll let you know.
That would be insane. All right, I appreciate you hopping on with me. Thank you so much. You have an amazing day.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Joey of the Jungle. Shout out to Yo Two Times Reptile, my brother Sean. Man, awesome podcast. This was. I'm glad that he kind of pointed her out to me. I think that she is crushing it. If you follow this podcast, you know I took last month off. We were going hard for 2 years. I think like 2 years we were having a podcast every freaking week. I said, you know what? I need a break. I'm going on vacation. What a way to start it back. We talked conservation with Joy of the Jungle. We talked some of the places she's been. We talked some of the animals she's seen. I was excited to talk to her. She's so humble. Imagine having 40,000 people want to see what you got going on and you're still humble. I'd be a dickhead. I'm famous. Get out of here. No pictures. But she has such an amazing spirit. She's so down to earth, and there's a reason she is where she is. You know, she's working and following her dream. And not just that, freaking AnimalCon followed her. Do you know how big that is? And she's so humble about it. Yeah, AnimalCon follow me. That's fucking huge. That's Brian Barczyk is watching you. He likes what you got going on, and you might not be there this year, but next year you're probably going to be at AnimalCon as a content creator, and that's freaking huge. So shout out to Joy of the Jungle. Y'all make sure y'all go hit up her Instagram. I would love for her to get on YouTube, man, and just actually, you know, videotape what's going on in the Amazon. Videotape what's going on when she's in Ecuador. I think that those videos would go stupid viral because you're there. You're boots, you know, on the ground, doing what you do. So I don't know. I'm definitely excited about this podcast. We'll be back next week. I think I got a couple eyes of who I want to bring. But we back, man. This is Big Reptile Talk, my podcast where I bring people on and just chat with them, see what they got going on. If you watched, I appreciate you. If you're in the chat, everybody, Guapame, I appreciate you. Bosa, I appreciate you. Guapame Servo, she's very nice. Yo, 2 times Reptiles, Ledka, Bosa Balls, Nameless Collector. People showed up for her. Mark, Roz Reptile. Shout out to my boy Roz Reptiles. Stephanie, she's Joey, you know, Cheyenne, Eric B. Much love to everybody that was in the chat. I appreciate y'all for showing up. Shout out to all the channel sponsors. Matter of fact, we gotta, not necessarily, where's the banner? Please make sure you go check out all those channel sponsors. Ozzy Boys, Basement Pythons, Heathen Hatchery, Stone Age Ball Pythons, High Mutations, Morphin. It's so many of them. Just read the banner. Go subscribe to all the channel sponsors. Give them some love. Until next time, man. This is Big Reptile Talk. And I catch you guys on the next episode, man. I'm out of here. Yeah.
Whoa. Big Reptile Talk. Yeah. We working. Talk about serving. Big Reptile Talk. When it comes to talking about snakes, yeah.